The planet Ilather was scarred. Its once luminous skies were now streaked with black smoke, and the golden plains that had stretched for miles were marred by trenches and craters. Lyrana, the alien queen of the Ilathari, floated above the shattered landscape in her royal ship, her tendrils trembling with grief. She had ruled wisely for decades, guiding her people through times of prosperity and hardship alike, but now her heart was heavy with fear. Her daughter Elira had been taken. Kidnapped by the Vorath Dominion during a sudden raid, Elira had vanished from the palace before Lyrana could even send out a warning. The queen felt the cold weight of helplessness. Her daughter was young, just learning the ways of their world, and now she was in the hands of a merciless enemy. Lyrana stared out through the ship's reinforced viewports at the landscape below. Smoke rose in thick plumes from the city ruins. Ilather's once bustling spaceports were burned, their docks empty, their defenses shattered. The Vorath Dominion was ruthless, their reputation as merciless raiders confirmed in every corner of the galaxy. Lyrana had fought many battles, commanded legions, and brokered peace between warring star systems, but this was different. Her child was in danger. Her heart refused to calm, her mind refused to rest. Every moment that Elira remained in Vorath hands was a moment lost forever. Across the galaxy, humanity was not known as a major power. Earth had long been considered a minor player, a curious species with potential but limited influence. Yet humanity's resilience was legendary, and there were those among the stars who had learned not to underestimate them. One such human was Captain Elias Kane. He was tall, lean, with a face lined by experience rather than age. Every scar he bore told a story of battles fought, risks taken, and comrades lost. His reputation was simple. When the impossible needed doing, Kane was the one to do it. He had faced alien marauders, navigated hostile planets, and survived situations others thought fatal. Yet when he received the urgent communique detailing Elira's capture, he did not pause. Not because he believed himself fearless, but because humans, in their stubborn way, refused to leave the weak behind. The mission briefing room was a stark, metallic chamber aboard the human flagship Resolute. Kane stood at attention while his superior officers outlined the situation. Holographic projections filled the room, displaying the Vorath station where Elira was being held. It was massive, orbiting a dead moon, with layers of defenses, automated turrets, and alien patrols that seemed unending. Most officers listened in shock, muttering doubts about the mission's feasibility. Kane, however, only asked two questions. What's the entry point? And what resources are available? His mind raced, already calculating risks, exits, and contingencies. Kane's team was hand-picked. Each member was an expert in a specific field. Lieutenant Mara Voss, a hacker who could disable security networks faster than most humans could blink. Sergeant Rico Tan, a demolition expert with unmatched precision. Dr. Selene Myra, ready to patch up wounds under fire. And finally, Kai, a young scout with nerves of steel and instincts honed from survival on Earth's harshest terrains. Kane studied them, feeling the weight of responsibility. This mission was not just about saving a child. It was about proving humanity's capacity for courage, creativity, and resilience. Their lives depended on each other and on him to lead with clarity. As the Resolute approached the Vorath system, Kane reviewed the intelligence reports once more. The station was guarded not just by Vorath soldiers, but by automated defenses that could detect heat signatures, movement patterns, and even psychic traces. There was no room for error. If they were spotted, the station's defenses would activate immediately, and Elira's life would be forfeit. Kane ran simulations in his mind, imagining every possible outcome. And yet, despite the odds, he refused to accept failure. Humans, he reminded himself, had always found a way where others saw none. He was determined that this would be no different. The first stage of infiltration began with stealth. The Resolute moved like a shadow among asteroids, silent and invisible to the Vorath sensors. Kane piloted a small shuttle with his team packed tightly inside. The tension was thick, none spoke. Every clunk, every vibration seemed magnified in the tight cabin. Kane checked his instruments, confirming their path through the Vorath's outer patrols. Myra whispered quietly from the console, her fingers dancing over the controls. I've got the outer security feeds. We can slip through, but any alarm triggers the station's full defenses. Kane nodded, gripping the seat. Understood, no mistakes. The shuttle glided past the Vorath's outer perimeter undetected, slipping through gaps in patrol schedules and blind spots in surveillance. Every second was critical. Each human heartbeat was a drumbeat against the vast silence of space. Kane felt a mixture of fear and exhilaration. Humans thrived under pressure, he thought. They adapted. They survived. And now that adaptability was the key to saving an innocent life. Once inside the station's outer hull, the team faced the first major obstacle, a massive airlock designed to scan intruders for biological signatures. Mara worked quickly, her hands moving faster than thought, interfacing with the alien tech. Sparks flew, alarms briefly flared, then faded. The system accepted their falsified readings. Kane exhaled, feeling the weight lift slightly, but he did not relax. He knew the real danger was still ahead. Inside the station, the corridors were long, sterile, and silent, lit by a harsh, cold light. The hum of machinery and distant footsteps echoed like ominous warnings. Kane led the team with precise movements, each step calculated, each turn deliberate. They avoided patrols, disabled cameras, and navigated through maintenance shafts. Despite the advanced alien technology, human creativity shone. They used shadows, timing, and misdirection to remain invisible. Every step brought them closer to Elira and closer to confrontation with the Vorath's elite guards. Meanwhile, in her cell, Elira clung to hope. She remembered her mother's teachings. Courage was not the absence of fear, but the choice to act despite it. She had overheard Vorath guards discussing an upcoming inspection, a chance she might use to signal for help. Her heart leapt when she sensed a disturbance outside, an unfamiliar presence moving with intent. Hope flickered. Could it be? Could someone have come for her? She dared to imagine her mother's embrace once more. The team reached the inner security ring surrounding Elira's prison. Here, the defenses were denser, the patrols more frequent, and the tension unbearable. Kane crouched behind a bulkhead, scanning patterns of movement. "Timing is everything," he whispered. Mara nodded, fingers poised over the controls. "I can freeze the turrets for exactly 30 seconds, that's your window." Kane measured the distance, calculated the path, and gave the signal. They moved as one, silent, swift, and precise. Every second mattered. One mistake, one misstep, and the mission would fail. As they neared Elira's cell, Kane noticed the intricate lock, a puzzle of alien design. He could have forced it, but brute force might trigger alarms. Instead, he studied the patterns, applying logic and intuition. The mechanism clicked, and the door slid open just enough to slip Elira out. She blinked at the humans, recognition and disbelief in her wide eyes. Kane knelt, offering a reassuring smile. "We're here to bring you home." Her voice trembled as she whispered, thank you so much." The sound of distant alarms shattered the fragile moment. One of the automated patrols had detected minor interference. Mara cursed under her breath. "We've got maybe 2 minutes before full lockdown." Kane's jaw tightened. "Move, no hesitation." They raced through the corridors, navigating toward the extraction point. Behind them, the station began to shift into defensive mode, doors sealing, turrets spinning, and Vorath soldiers converging. The shuttle awaited in a maintenance hangar. Kane guided Elira inside, sealing the hatch just as turrets fired past. Explosions rocked the station, sending shrapnel and fire streaking through the walls. Kane's team worked in perfect unison, overcoming obstacles through ingenuity and determination. Rico dismantled a blocking door in seconds. Kai scouted ahead, finding a path free of traps. Human resilience shone in every action, adaptability, courage, and teamwork overcoming technology that seemed insurmountable. As the shuttle launched, the station's self-destruct sequence began. Fire and smoke filled the corridors, Vorath alarms blaring like war drums. Kane piloted through debris, Elira clinging to him, her small hands trembling. He knew that their escape was as much about hope as skill. Every maneuver was calculated, every risk deliberate. They shot through the station's outer defenses, narrowly avoiding collisions with falling wreckage. Human determination had triumphed over alien might, not through superiority of weapons, but through ingenuity, courage, and the refusal to surrender to despair. Once clear of the station, Kane took a deep breath, though he knew the mission was far from over. Elira sat quietly beside him, exhausted but safe, and he allowed himself a rare moment of relief. Humans had succeeded where few thought possible, proving that even a single species, underestimated by the galaxy, could accomplish extraordinary feats when motivated by courage, compassion, and hope. As the shuttle set course for Ilather, Kane allowed himself one glance at the distant stars. Somewhere out there, Lyrana waited, and soon mother and daughter would be reunited. Hope, fragile and bright, had survived the darkness. And in that survival, humanity had once again proven why it deserved its place among the stars. The shuttle hummed softly as it cut through the blackness of space, carrying Aelira and her human rescuers away from the deadly Vorath station. The young alien's eyes were wide, reflecting a mix of fear, relief, and disbelief. She had never imagined that being so small and seemingly fragile as humans could accomplish what they had, penetrate a fortress that had been considered impenetrable. Yet here she was alive, thanks to their courage. Captain Elias Kane watched her quietly, his hands steady on the controls. He knew the danger was far from over. The station's self-destruct had begun, and Vorath patrols would soon spread across the sector, searching for intruders. Every second mattered. "We need to stay in stealth mode until we reach the outer jump point," he said, his voice calm but firm. Mara, seated at the shuttle's console, nodded. "I've rerouted the thermal sensors. They'll think we're debris from the explosion. We get one clear jump window before they detect us." Aelira shivered, gripping the edge of her seat. Are we safe?" she asked, her voice barely audible. Kane glanced at her, offering a reassuring smile. "For now," he said, "but the real danger is coming. We have to get back to your mother." The girl's eyes sparkled with hope, but Kane knew that hope could be fragile in the vast, dangerous galaxy. It had to be protected with more than words. It had to be acted upon. The shuttle weaved carefully through the debris field around the destroyed station. Kane's experience was evident in every maneuver. He anticipated falling fragments, blasts of heat from the remaining explosions, and even the Vorath drones that had begun patrolling the area. The humans' ability to adapt quickly to improvise under pressure was what kept them alive. Myra whispered as she monitored the sensors, "One misstep and the Vorath will pick up our trail." Kane's jaw tightened. "We'll make our misstep count if it comes to that. Stay ready." As they passed through the last layer of Vorath surveillance, Kane allowed himself a brief moment to review the team. Rico's hands were tense but controlled. The demolition expert had already proven his skill in clearing obstacles that would have stopped even the most experienced alien soldiers. Dr. Cellini, Myra checked Aelira's vitals, offering a soft word of comfort to the frightened girl. Kai, the young scout, remained alert, scanning for any incoming threats with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Kane realized once again that humanity's strength was not in brute force or advanced technology. It was in their unity, creativity, and courage. Despite their progress, the shuttle shook violently as a Vorath interceptor suddenly emerged from the shadows, cutting across their path. "They found us!" Mara shouted, panic flashing in her eyes. Kane didn't hesitate. He pushed the controls to the limits, weaving between asteroids using debris as cover. The interceptor fired, but Kane anticipated every move, dodging laser blasts with precise calculation. Kai leaned forward, pointing to the incoming projectiles. "Left now." "Use the debris cluster for cover." Kane adjusted the course, narrowly avoiding destruction. The interceptor faltered, unable to follow their unpredictable maneuvers. The human crew's ability to improvise, to think faster than their enemies, kept them alive. The immediate danger passed, but Kane knew the next phase of the mission was far more delicate. Their destination was Ilather, but the Vorath had sensors throughout the sector. They had to remain invisible, undetected, and ready for combat at any moment. Kane glanced at Aelira. She was quiet now, her fear mingled with awe. "You are brave," she whispered. Kane shook his head gently. "No, it's not bravery, it's necessity. Humans don't always have the power to fight like giants, but we have the courage to try and the will to survive. That's how we win." Aelira considered his words, feeling a spark of hope she hadn't dared to feel in days. Meanwhile, across the stars, Lyrana waited. The Queen's royal ship had taken position near Ilather's atmosphere, scanning for any sign of her daughter. Her heart ached with every passing second, but she trusted the humans she had allied with. Their reputation for resilience was known throughout the galaxy, and Kane's name had reached her ears. She had watched the humans in battle simulations, heard tales of their daring feats, and now, she hoped against hope, one of them would bring Aelira back. Her tendrils quivered with anticipation as her sensors detected the faint signature of an approaching shuttle. Could it be them? Could it be her daughter? Back in the shuttle, Kane calculated the trajectory for a stealth approach through Ilather's atmosphere. The planet's defenses were not designed to target friendly forces, but any miscalculation could cause catastrophic collision or detection. He adjusted the shuttle's shields, monitoring energy levels, thermal readings, and fuel. "We'll make it," he said to his team, not as reassurance but as fact. They had survived far worse. Humans, he reminded himself, thrived in situations where others would fail. Their strength lay in persistence, adaptability, and the refusal to surrender. As they neared the planet, the shuttle's sensors detected a Vorath patrol ship closing in fast. Mara cursed under her breath. "They're cutting off our path. We'll have to go through the canyon cluster below." Kane nodded. The canyon was treacherous, narrow passages, sharp rock formations, and unpredictable wind currents, but it offered concealment from the Vorath ship. Kane piloted the shuttle with unmatched precision, banking sharply, avoiding collisions by mere meters. The patrol fired, but every shot missed. Human skill, he thought, was more than luck. It was instinct honed through experience and a will to survive that no alien race could fully understand. The canyon passed, and the Vorath patrol lost their trail. Illyra's relief was palpable, and even Kane allowed a faint smile. "Almost there," he said. "Keep focused." Kai leaned over the console, monitoring energy spikes from Ilather's orbital defenses. "We're clear of most sensors, but there's one automated turret near the landing bay." "I can disable it, but it'll take a minute." Kane nodded. "Do it. We can't risk confrontation with the planet's defenses, even if they're friendly." "We need a smooth landing." Mara's fingers flew across the controls, interfacing with the alien turret system, bypassing security protocols, and shutting it down temporarily. The shuttle descended through the atmosphere, engines roaring softly against the wind. Lyrana's sensors picked up the vessel, and her tendrils trembled with recognition. "It's them," she whispered to herself. "My daughter, my child." Her ship moved closer, preparing for the reunion as the shuttle approached the landing bay at the palace grounds. Every second stretched, the anticipation almost unbearable. Inside the shuttle, Kane prepared the team for disembarkation. "Stay alert," he said. "This is not over. We are entering an area filled with civilians and military personnel. Any mistake could cause chaos." Rico adjusted his gear. "We'll get her to her mother, Captain. No one's stopping us now." Kane nodded. He felt a surge of pride, not for himself, but for what humans could achieve together. They had come across the galaxy to save a child, facing impossible odds, and they were still standing. The shuttle landed smoothly in the palace courtyard. Illyra's eyes widened as the doors opened. The familiar sight of her mother waiting, tendrils stretched in anxious anticipation, brought tears to her eyes. She leapt from the shuttle, running with unsteady legs, and fell into Lyrana's embrace. The queen held her daughter tightly, tears streaming down her face as Illyra whispered over and over, "I'm safe, I'm safe." Kane watched quietly, his heart swelling with quiet satisfaction. Humanity had proven its worth, not through domination or conquest, but through courage, ingenuity, and compassion. They had faced a foe considered unbeatable, navigated dangers that would have killed lesser beings, and succeeded. Their small, fragile bodies had carried out feats that even the mighty Vorath could not anticipate. Lyrana looked up at Kane, her eyes shining with gratitude and respect. You saved her," she said softly, her voice thick with emotion. Kane shook his head. "No, it wasn't me. It was all of us. Humans together can do what seems impossible, and sometimes that's enough to make a difference in the galaxy." Illyra, now safely in her mother's embrace, turned to Kane with a shy smile. "Thank you," she said. You didn't give up on me?" Kane crouched down, meeting her gaze. "I didn't give up on you because someone had to. That's what humans do. We fight for each other, even across worlds." The reunion was brief but poignant. Palace guards arrived, securing the area, while humans began preparing their return journey. Kane and his team would soon leave Ilather, but their legacy would remain. Humans had once again proven that courage, ingenuity, and resilience were forces the galaxy could not ignore. They had crossed impossible distances, faced overwhelming odds, and succeeded where others would have failed. As Kane watched mother and daughter reunited, he realized that this mission was more than just a rescue. It was a testament to what humans represented: hope, determination, and the ability to rise to challenges that no one else dared face. In the vastness of space, where species measured strength in firepower and domination, humanity measured it in courage, heart, and the will to do what was right. And today, that measure had made all the difference. The shuttle engines powered up, preparing to leave Ilather's atmosphere. Kane allowed himself a moment of reflection. He knew the galaxy was vast, full of danger, but also full of opportunity for those willing to take risks, to fight for the helpless, and to rise above fear. Humans, he thought, were small in size but mighty in spirit. That spirit had carried them across the stars, saved a life, and reminded even the mighty Ilathari that courage often came in unexpected forms. And as the shuttle disappeared into the void of space, carrying humans back to their distant home, Lyrana held her daughter close. The bond between mother and child had been restored, but the memory of the humans who had made it possible would forever shine in the hearts of the Ilathari. The galaxy had witnessed once more that when humans acted, they acted not out of desire for conquest, but out of loyalty, bravery, and love, the very qualities that made them, in their own small way, extraordinary. The sky above Ilather was alive with the soft glow of dawn, casting gentle light across the golden plains and shattered cities below. Lyrana's heart thumped as she waited in the royal courtyard, surrounded by loyal guards and advisors. Every moment that passed felt like an eternity. She had seen glimpses of the shuttle on her sensors, but nothing could compare to the fear and hope twisting in her chest. Her daughter was close, she could feel it, yet the uncertainty gnawed at her. The Vorath had proven merciless and cunning, and though humans were renowned for their bravery, the Queen knew danger could still strike. Captain Elias Kane's shuttle emerged from the upper atmosphere, moving carefully to the designated landing bay. Inside, the tension was palpable. Elira clutched Kane's arm, still shaken from the escape through the Vorath station, the debris fields, and the relentless patrols. Despite the trauma, there was a light in her eyes, a spark of hope that had not been there for days. She could see her mother waiting. She could feel her mother's presence across the courtyard, and it called to her like a beacon. Kane's hands were steady on the controls, but his mind raced with calculations. He had guided the shuttle through impossible scenarios, narrow canyon passes, interceptor patrols, and orbital defenses. Every step required precision and coordination, yet he remained calm. Humans thrived in situations like this, where their small size and adaptability allowed them to navigate challenges that others could not. His team had proven their skill, courage, and ingenuity, but the final moments were always the most unpredictable. The shuttle touched down with a gentle thud on the landing bay, shields retracting as the engines powered down. Kane exhaled quietly, signaling the team. "Disembark! Move fast but keep calm." The team nodded, their expressions a mix of relief and anticipation. Every member knew the importance of this moment, not just for Elira and Lyrana, but for the larger bonds being forged between humans and Ilathari. Elira hesitated at the shuttle door, her gaze locking onto her mother. Lyrana's tendrils were extended in a gesture of both protection and longing. The sight of her mother's familiar form, radiant yet concerned, drew a flood of emotions in the young alien. Kane stepped aside silently, allowing Elira to run forward. She stumbled slightly, but the momentum of hope carried her across the courtyard. Guards and advisors watched in respectful silence, understanding the gravity of this reunion. When Elira reached Lyrana, she threw herself into her mother's embrace. Lyrana's tendrils wrapped tightly around her daughter, tears streaming freely. The Queen's voice trembled as she whispered over and over, "You're safe, you're safe." Elira clung to her, sobbing with relief and disbelief. The reunion was complete, the bond restored, and yet the significance of the human's role lingered in every heartbeat. Kane watched from a short distance, allowing the moment to unfold naturally. The courage, skill, and selflessness of his team had ensured this outcome. Lyrana's gaze turned toward Kane and his team, her eyes filled with gratitude that words could barely express. You saved her," she said softly, her voice thick with emotion. Kane shook his head gently. "It wasn't just me, it was all of us. Humans work together. We find ways when none seem possible. That's how we survived. That's how we brought her back." Lyrana's tendrils quivered as she processed the enormity of the statement. These small, fragile beings, humans, had crossed an entire star system, fought through impossible odds, and succeeded where others might have failed. Elira looked up at Kane with wide eyes, the the fear of the past days slowly replaced by wonder and admiration. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice barely audible. I never thought anyone would come for me." Kane crouched to meet her gaze. "Humans never give up on those who cannot fight for themselves," he said gently. "It's what makes us strong. It's what keeps hope alive." The young alien's eyes filled with tears again, but this time they were tears of gratitude and awe. The courtyard began to fill with activity as palace guards and advisors secured the area. Kane and his team remained vigilant, understanding that danger could still lurk in unexpected corners. The Vorath had lost their prize, but they would not forget. Kane's instincts told him that a final, cautious exit was necessary before celebrations could begin. Yet even amid the tension, he allowed himself a sense of pride. Humans, small and underestimated by the galaxy, had accomplished something extraordinary, not through sheer power, but through courage, intelligence, and unity. Lyrana finally stepped back from her daughter, her tendrils still trembling. "You have done something remarkable," she said to Kane and his team. "You have not only returned my daughter to me, but have shown that courage and determination are not limited by species. Humans, you are stronger than many would dare believe." Kane nodded humbly. "We fight because it's right, we survive because we must, and sometimes we can make a difference beyond what anyone expects." Elira held her mother's hand, still looking at the humans who had saved her. I want to remember this," she said softly. "I want to remember the humans who risked everything to bring me back." Kane smiled faintly, feeling the weight of the moment. This was the essence of humanity, the ability to act selflessly, to rise to challenges, and to inspire hope across the stars. The palace began to celebrate cautiously, acknowledging the return of the princess without overlooking the potential dangers. Lyrana addressed her people with calm authority, emphasizing the bravery of the humans and the unity that had made the rescue possible. She spoke of courage, determination, and the importance of alliances, reminding her subjects that the galaxy was vast and unpredictable, and that no species could face its challenges alone. Kane's team took a moment to rest, their exhaustion tangible. Rico slumped against the shuttle, muscles tense from the past hour's efforts. Myra wiped sweat from her brow, still monitoring systems for potential threats. Kai remained alert, scanning the perimeter while Selene checked supplies and tended to minor injuries. Kane allowed himself a quiet moment, reflecting on the mission's success. Humans had demonstrated something that even the mighty Ilithari could appreciate: resilience in the face of overwhelming odds, the courage to act when others hesitate, and the intelligence to adapt to impossible situations. As the celebration continued, Lyrana approached Kane once more. "You will always have a place among us," she said, her voice filled with reverence. "Your species has shown honor, bravery, and compassion in a way few others could." "I am grateful, and so is my daughter." Kane nodded, feeling the depth of the Queen's words. It was recognition not for glory, but for something more profound, the human spirit. Elira pulled Lyrana toward the palace gardens, eager to recount her experiences and reconnect with the life she had been forced to leave behind. Kane watched them go, understanding that the moments of reunion were as important as the acts of bravery that made them possible. Humans were capable of great things, he thought, not because they were the strongest or the fastest, but because they refused to give up, refused to abandon those in need, and refused to be broken by fear. The Vorath Dominion would regroup, Kane knew, but for now their threat had been neutralized. Elira was safe, and the bond between human and Ilithari had been strengthened. He allowed himself a moment to look up at the stars, contemplating the vastness of the galaxy. Humans were small, fragile, and often underestimated, yet their influence, courage, and creativity could shape destinies across worlds. As the sun rose higher over Ilather, casting golden light across the planet, Kane and his team prepared to depart. Their mission had been successful, but the galaxy was full of challenges, and their skills would be needed again. Yet in this moment, they allowed themselves quiet pride. They had faced impossible odds, navigated danger, and proven once more that humans were a force to be reckoned with, not because of power, but because of heart. Elira and Lyrana walked through the palace grounds, their hands clasped tightly, a symbol of hope, love, and survival. The humans were invited to remain for a time, to share in the celebrations, and to be honored for their heroism. Kane declined, humbly noting that their work was never done and that other lives might soon require their aid. Yet the bond forged on this day would not be forgotten. The Ilathari had witnessed firsthand the strength of humanity, and the humans had seen the rewards of courage, compassion, and determination. As the shuttle lifted off the landing bay, the humans looked back at the planet below. Lyrana waved, her tendrils extended in gratitude. Illyra, still holding her mother's hand, waved as well, tears of joy and relief streaming down her face. Cain smiled quietly, feeling the warmth of accomplishment. Humanity had once again proven that courage, heart, and ingenuity could overcome any challenge, no matter how insurmountable it seemed. The galaxy stretched endlessly before them, full of unknown dangers and opportunities. Yet Cain and his team knew one truth: humans were not defined by size or weapons, but by their spirit. A single human could make a difference. A group of humans could change the course of history, and today, across the stars, they had done exactly that. In the quiet of the shuttle, Illyra finally leaned against Cain, exhausted but content. "Will we ever meet again?" she asked softly. Cain smiled, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. "Perhaps," he said, "but no matter where you go, remember this: courage and hope are universal. They are stronger than any wall, any enemy, any distance. Humans carry them everywhere." As Ilathar disappeared beneath them, the humans reflected on what had been accomplished. It was not just a rescue. It was a testament to the power of courage, determination, and unity. It was a story that would be told across worlds. A story of a small species that refused to give up, that acted when others hesitated, and that made the impossible possible. And somewhere on Ilathar, a queen and her daughter held each other close, their hearts full of gratitude, their minds filled with hope. The humans had shown them that even in a vast and dangerous galaxy, bravery, loyalty, and heart could prevail. The bond forged between species on this day would endure, a shining example of the strength that comes from doing what is right, no matter the odds. The shuttle disappeared into the black of space, carrying its small human crew toward new missions, new challenges, and new opportunities to prove that the human spirit could light the darkest corners of the universe.